We especially want to thank KCAC for this wonderful gallery space. They have 2 shows going on right now, plus ArtsKC Studios you can tour during the opening. So we encourage you to come on down here and take a look at this fabulous local Kansas City art. All right. Then today you'll hear about our studios, and then you'll hear about ArtsKC grants, and there'll be Q&A after each session. And then ArtsKC or Artist Coalition will tell you a little bit more about what they're going to have going on next month. So, and we'll do that all within an hour, probably even under an hour today. So we want to thank you for being with us. And before I go on to my spiel about GUILDit Studios and co-working spaces, I want to tell you a little bit about Ted. It's going to be talking with you guys in October. So we have it scheduled for the 4th Thursday of October, when we have our forums. Ted is not your typical artist. He actually was the CEO of a office supply store, and then in retirement, he finally explored his art. He graduated with a liberal arts degree with art focus. In college, went to military, then went into the business world, and now he's focusing on his art. You can see he's doing some stunning work. So we're excited to have him come talk about how he layers his works, to talk about how it is for a CEO in retirement, now taking on a full-time artist career. And you can help him with his needs, challenges, and goals. And we always find when artists and entrepreneurs have those same needs, challenges, and goals. And so it's a learning experience for our audience as well. All right. So we advance further. All right. And yeah, so more of Ted's fabulous work. I'm just going to look at this screen because I'm not going to coordinate too well advancing 2 screens. So a little bit more about GUILDit Studios and co-working space. We'll be at the beautiful Plexpod, which I'll tell you more about. And that space was the Westport High School. So it's got a gorgeous theater in it. It's got great high ceilings, great event space, and great business space too. You've got this high ceilings, great circulation. Kansas City really took care of the schools as far as air conditioning and heating, and so it's going to be a premier space for studios. And we're not going to be the only art nonprofit there. City in Motion is there using the dance studios. Paul Mesner Puppets is there, Casey Jazz Orchestra. There's several other art entrepreneurs there, as well as nonprofits, small businesses, and entrepreneurs of business in the co-working space. So, and it's located at Gillum Park and 39th Street, so it has a beautiful setting with trails right out the back door and the side doors, so that's terrific as well. And they also have gardens. There's a nonprofit that uses one of their lots for gardens, as well as tenants are welcome to have gardens as well, vegetable gardens and such. All right, so our co-working space, what we'll be offering is 8 to 12 discounted co-working spaces. So they'll be half the price that a business entrepreneur has to pay. There'll be a special rate for artists. Definitely encourage the writers, photographers, filmmakers, digital artists to come in and use this beautiful, beautiful space they have for co-working. And there's also rooftop co-working. So you have different spaces you can go to at the Westport building. Very inspirational. And that comes with, co-working space comes with meeting rooms. There's a soundstage and photography studios. And the Plexpod Westport is just one of 4 buildings that the Plexpod owns within the Kansas City area. So those other buildings have studios, soundstage, and photography studios too. So you're not finding the size you need. You can usually stay within the Plexpod circle to find a right space for your project. They also have fitness areas, plus cafes and kitchens. So they have some great amenities. Any questions? I'll have questions afterwards, but any questions about the co-working space?
Yes. Is it possible to go and see, kind of how it looks and if it works for me?
Yeah, we will. So they do have an event there called 1 Million Cups. It happens once a week. It used to be more open before COVID for the public, but now at least once a week from 9 to 10, you can go on Wednesdays and attend their co-working, their 1 Million Cups, and then the public is invited to stay and work within this co-working space. And then for the artists, when we get to the studios, we will have an open studios where the art can be toured. We'll be doing that at least 1 or 2 times a year, so we can tour the studios as well. And we'll have a grand opening for both spaces too come the fall.
What I understood, they offer spaces to rent right now, right? What I understood, they offer spaces to rent right now, right?
Yeah. So yeah, you can. Currently, the Plexpod has co-working spaces and offices, and the dance studio and theater, and all those places are for rent. And then when we launch in the fall, we'll have co-working spaces for artists, and those will be half price from what the business community pays, because we recognize artists aren't as lucrative as some of the technology businesses that may be running out of the Plexpod. So this is the way to support the artists and give them a space where they can be focused and inspired in. And then again, once a week you can go there, as anyone from the public can go there and co-work after 1 Million Cups event. Does that answer your questions?
Maybe I misunderstood. I thought like they are offering the spaces for artists like to work.
Yeah, so the co-working space is called an open, so the question was about a space for artists to work.
Space like a certain space.
There will be studio spaces, dedicated studio spaces for artists, for visual artists. And then these co-working spaces will be open desks in areas. So it'll be like a coffee shop, but much more quieter, less busy, and you can be more focused. So you can pull up, you can use one of these tables. They do have individual desks as well that you can utilize. And then they have meeting rooms off to the side that come with part of being a tenant there. And we'll get to the studios at the next slide. So this is what we'll be offering non-visual artists in the open desk, as well as all these amenities will be available for artists. And then I'll move on to the studios. So again, this fall we'll have 8 to 12 affordable studio spaces for visual artists. They'll range in 100 to 200 square feet. They'll have natural light, good heat and cool air, as we mentioned, security, and what they'll have is 3-sided walls. So there won't be any door or anything. They'll be an open studio. This way we can keep costs down. Instead of building out full walls, we'll have 3/4 walls, about 10 foot high. And then again, these ceilings are 15 feet high, so there's still a lot of space as well. And if you have a huge piece, you'll actually have a permanent wall that you can work on if you want, that's over 10 foot high. Yeah, and then we'll have a little lounge area too for the visual artists as well. And then we'll offer mastermind and business coaching for all the artists at the Plexpod. And that will be informal at first, and then eventually it'll take on some structure. So, any questions on our studios?
I probably ask questions before you show the space, that's why.
Okay. Yeah, so we'll move on. Let me talk about the amenities, and then we can answer more, and I can answer more questions after this. So lots of amenities, as I mentioned, there's gardens, there's event space, they do the cleaning, they have fitness areas, mother room, prayer space. It's pretty amazing. They have a reception area so someone's on staff during weekdays. The co-working space will be available during weekdays, and then the visual artists will have access during evenings and weekends as well to their studios. And there's a kitchen area with lots of refrigerators, microwaves. They'll be getting in a cafe soon. They've had a cafe in that area before that closed down during COVID, but there'll be another one opening up, which is a beautiful space that they'll be in. And any questions? Too, the part of the visual artists and the co-workers can also use the Plexpod address too, and get their business mail there if they wish. All right. So what questions do you have for GUILDit about our studios, Plexpod space, or about GUILDit in general?
That's great, yeah.
Yeah, well, good. Yeah, one thing we don't have, they have wonderful spaces here at the Artist Coalition, and I invite you to tour them. They don't have much turnover because they're very popular spaces, so we hope to offer more opportunities for artists who want studio spaces within Kansas City. We don't have this wonderful gallery that associated with our visual studios yet, but that's something we hope to have later on, is a gallery, actually probably within the Crossroads Plexpod, which is a popular space for galleries in Kansas City. And then we hope to do more with the Plexpod. They have 4 buildings, so that allows us a lot of options to expand GUILDit and service our artists. So we're very, very excited because we'll be moving actually from a monthly service to a daily service. So it's kind of exciting for us to take this leap. Yeah, great. Well, if you have questions later on, please let me know. And if there's any on Facebook, I'll answer them after the presentation or during the rest of this presentation if I get the opportunity to. And I want to thank you. We're looking forward to working even more so with our arts community and growing the arts and economy here in Kansas City. So, yeah. All right, now before Tara comes up here, oops, I'm going the wrong slide. So Tara Karaim, right? She'll introduce the new creative initiatives impact funding that ArtsKC is offering. And this is a grant for individuals, groups, and nonprofits. And you don't necessarily have to be an art nonprofit or such. So I'll turn it over to Tara and let her tell you more about ArtsKC, this grant, and all of their other grants.
Thank you, Susanna. Thank you so much for having me. Very excited today to talk about a new grant program. I'll also talk about ArtsKC, grant making in general. And if I have time, I can go into our other grants as well. But I'll start off with talking about ArtsKC. So we are a nonprofit arts organization that provides support for the regional arts, and culture community through programs, advocacy, and investment. You might know us, we have some pretty popular programs in Kansas City. We have Now Showing, which connects local artists to local businesses. So local businesses that might have like an empty boardroom, for example, that needs some art, and then they can have kind of a rotating gallery connect with local artists. So the employees at the business benefit from getting to see local art every day, and then the artists benefit by getting a stipend and having more exposure to their art. That art is for sale too, so that's a great program we offer. We do a lot of advocacy for the arts, so we work with state legislatures, local legislatures for funding for the arts, but also for legislation that benefits the arts, arts infrastructure, and I'll talk a little bit more about that when we talk about our creative initiatives impact funding. And then of course investment, that's where grant making kind of fits in. We invest in the local artist community. And we do serve the 5-county region, so that's Clay, Platte, and Jackson in Missouri, and Johnson and Wyandotte in Kansas. And our mission and vision are up there too, so advancing lives through the arts. And a little bit more about our grant making. So again, investments, right, in people, programs, and projects that make the arts more accessible, sustain a vibrant arts community, and recognize excellence, innovation, and entrepreneurship in the arts. And I put some numbers up there. This is from our most recent fiscal year, just to give you a size of our grant, or an idea of the size of our grant making program. So last year we gave out around $400,000 to 69 organizations and 24 individual artists. 70% of that went to, or 70% of the organizations were small to mid-sized, and 30% were diverse-led. And we're kind of an interesting funding situation in that we're not a foundation, right? We do a lot of other stuff in terms of in the community, but we're not just a grant maker like a lot of foundations. We actually, like other nonprofits, we fundraise and we get grants, and then we re-grant that money out. So we get grants from some of the big foundations in Kansas City. We also get public funding from cities, counties, the state, sometimes national, and then we grant that out. So we're kind of re-grantor, or what you might call an intermediary funder. There's a lot of advantages to that, in that we are like the nonprofits that we give money to. We're on the ground. We have relationships with those nonprofits. We work with them on other projects. So we're really plugged in to the arts community, unlike maybe the state that doesn't know as much of what's going on in this specific community, if that makes sense. So it's an interesting position, but it's a good one too, because we're working with these organizations and we're getting to fund them. So that's a little bit about grant making, kind of big picture. But what I want to talk about today, and I should say, so if we're still talking about big picture, what we're really known for in grants is our 3 grants that have been around since like 2007 or 2008. Our mission support, our project support, and our inspiration grants. Mission and project are for organizations, 501c3s that are in the 5-county region that have been around for at least 2 years. And the inspiration grants are for individual artists. So those are kind of our flagship programs. But this year, we've been able to launch a couple new ones, which is really exciting. We're trying to reach more people, spread the funding out. So this one it's happening like right now, really exciting, within the last year, and it's launching on Monday. So it's like we're right in the thick of it. But this grew out of a partnership with Jackson County. So this is Jackson County funds, it's public funding. And we've been working with them, we've been partnering with them and collaborating on this strategic planning initiative. So a committee has come out of this partnership that's hoping to kind of start an infrastructure in Jackson County to benefit the arts. And some of the goals of that committee and that partnership are accessibility to arts and culture, arts education, as well as partnerships and collaborations within the arts in Jackson County. So basically, we got funds from them last year, and we gave those to orgs in Jackson County within our mission support category. But we also want to kind of pilot a program that benefits that initiative especially. So the goals of this grant are the goals of that committee, essentially. We're hoping to target projects and initiatives that promote accessibility to the arts, that encourage partnerships, and that work with arts education. Another part of this grant is that we want to give funds to organizations that are working at a neighborhood level or at a community development level. So we want, and that's kind of the accessibility part of it. A lot of times people's first access to the arts might not be, the Nelson or the Kemper, which are amazing organizations that we're so lucky to have in Kansas City, but it might actually be at their church or at their community center. So we're trying to give funds to those projects that are kind of that first point of access to the arts, and that are in all areas of Jackson County. So here's our eligibility criteria. It's kind of long, but I can break it down. The first kind of most interesting point is the last one, I think. We're giving these to projects that have not gotten a grant from us recently. So again, we're trying to broaden our reach. And it's, of course, in Jackson County. This is Jackson County funding. We're hoping that someday it'll get bigger, possibly, but we're trying something new. We're gonna, keep it in Jackson County. And it's a project grant, so it has to be for an arts or culture project, program, or activity. Beyond that, it can be for nonprofits, but it can also be for an individual or small group affiliated with a nonprofit, or it could just be it could be a community serving collective, collaborative, or initiative with a charitable purpose that's not affiliated with a nonprofit. So we're looking at neighborhood associations, community centers, faith-based orgs, libraries, rotaries, chambers, and initiatives associated with those, and education centers. So the idea is that we're reaching different projects that we don't normally reach in Jackson County, and we're looking at all areas of Jackson County too. We're really trying to reach out to eastern Jackson County, but also the rural and urban, but also the urban and suburban areas of Jackson County too. So, and as I said, it's happening right now. So it opens on Monday. It closes at the end of September, so kind of a quick turnaround. And we're hoping to get the funds out by the end of the year. So paying out in December. Okay, that was a lot of information. Do you guys have any questions for me? Yeah, go ahead.
Talk how much money we're talking, how much of,
Oh, yeah, sorry,
two levels,
of course.
like overall, how much you're getting from the government to do this, and then what kind of size grants you're getting.
Yeah,
So the question was, what kind of funding will be given out, besides the grants, and what is the overall funding?
Yeah, so the grant sizes will be $2,500 and $5,000. When you apply, you can kind of mark which one you're applying for, but it might also be based on budget size of the project budget. In terms of the amount, so our contract with Jackson County this year is over $100,000, which is, I know, so exciting. And I think we have a number that we're giving out in this grant, but it might also depend on how many applications we get, so it might be flexible. So we're looking around maybe $40K for this grant, but again, could be more, could be less. We're hoping, a lot of people apply, but it's a first time, so we don't have we don't really know.
Well, we can spread the word through KCAC too, in our newsletter that goes out weekly.
That would be amazing.
Definitely send it to us.
So, yeah, the comment was that, more information, KCAC, where we're being hosted today, will help spread the word about these fabulous grants. And other questions?
Yeah, sometimes I need a little more explanation. Sorry about that. For example, right now I'm talking about my idea, and I just want to see if I'm eligible to apply. I was thinking about to do it myself, but if I can get the help, it will be awesome. For example, I do giant flowers, super giant flowers. And I was thinking about to have a space, which is it's the part where it scares me, because I don't know if I will be able to kind of make enough money to to pay my rent, and make a flowers, sell flowers, and teach, like, who wants students how to make it.
Yeah.
Is it something eligible for some sort of help, at least at the beginning, while it will be established and I will have enough students and space to, you know what I mean? Trying to explain.
Yeah, well, and I would have to ask more questions, but since you're asking, it sounds like you're an individual artist.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
I would think that you would be a better fit for our inspiration grants. Have you heard about those? Have you heard of inspiration grants before?
No,
Oh, okay.
It's the first time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
These, so I see what you're saying because there's an arts education aspect, so maybe that's why you're thinking it would be good for that. And it might be, I'd have to ask you some more questions, but I think just from what you just said, I think you'd be a great fit for our inspiration grants, which are for individual artists that are kind of trying something new. So it's not business as usual, it's more like, okay, I'm a painter, but I want to try doing a mural, or I'm in a band, but we want to make an album for the first time. So something different than your regular art practice. So we phrase it as ambitious projects of risk, growth, and change for the artist. The other thing is, it could be that, it could be both, but it could also be something that's making a positive impact on the community. So like arts education, that's pretty positive. And for the public.
I'm gonna need probably more information, and I can try to apply, but I don't know if, because I have this idea, but I was not thinking about grants. I was thinking about how to do it with the money that I am making right now. So, and but if I would, if I can get a grant and do it kind of faster, would be awesome. But
definitely. Yeah.
And I know this studios here and studios will be opening are on 6 months contracts, so you wouldn't have to necessarily obligate yourself for a whole year by renting a studio space. And they've done weekly workshops here. Plexpod definitely does workshops and classes, and some of the private studios as well. And have artists who have studio space there, and then they also have an event space for the artists to do classes and such. So you have a lot of options. It's just a matter, but taking that initial
I'm so glad
launch is always the biggest step.
Yeah, and you can email me too at grantmaking@artskc.org, and I know about other grants too.
Something like, because I might forgot. Terrible.
We don't have business cards yet. We got new branding.
But
you can write it down. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so if you email me that question, I might be able to help you a little bit more. And I can maybe show you some other resources, other grants that could be a good fit too.
Yeah, so kind of that maybe we can get in touch and I will explain how I see it. Maybe I see it not quite right because it's the first time. I was always working like a self-entrepreneur, but I want to kind of grow it, not just doing it always by myself in my garage.
Totally. I mean, that's what's so great about grants. They are, like, for all the individual artists out there that are thinking of in the same way, they are a little bit of work. You do have to write the application. You kind of have to frame your idea in a way that's digestible for committees. Yeah. But, I mean, it's also kind of free money. If you apply and the committee likes your idea, you get that money. You do have to set aside some for taxes. But so it's for individual artists, I think who are funding their own projects, it can be helpful to get a little bit extra from. The money's out there and you just have to apply for it.
Yeah, and Artist Coalition, as well as several other organizations in Kansas City, are offering what's called work of art classes. And so there are, I believe, 8 to 10 sessions. One of them covers grant writing, so as well as other business aspects to help refine your business, the artists refine their business. So that's another way the community can support you in obtaining grants and other aspects of your business and goals.
Totally, 100%, definitely recommend. Okay, great questions. Any other questions for me? Oh, I'm going the wrong way.
Yeah, a broader question, perhaps zooming out a little bit.
My question is, I'm fascinated by ArtsKC because I'm actually quite ignorant about the organization. You mentioned that you were functioning as a medium for state organizations, national funders, to channel monies into local communities, which is amazing. But how do you go about raising the kind of funds? I mean, you have access to a lot of funds, and this is great. But you apply for grants, you write grants. I get that. But are you supported by any other sort of ventures? Do you go out and get money from some other sources? How do you have access to this? I'm just curious.
Yeah, that's a great question. So like you said, we do write grants. It's not me, it's somebody else, but they apply for grants. So we get grants and we advocate, and so we get public funding. But we also have some revenue generated in-house too. And this is kind of a question for the finance people and not me, but I will try my best. So I know that some of our programs generate revenue. Now Showing does somehow, and it's not my program, but Julian.
So I do the Now Showing program.
Oh yeah,
and so I exhibit my pieces, my artworks within the business for 4 months, and then that business pays me as well as ArtsKC as being the management of the funds. So yeah, they're considered any business that's part of the Now Showing program and hosts artists' works is also considered a sponsor. So they get recognition from ArtsKC and give ArtsKC funding for that recognition and management of the program. GUILDit is also and Artist Coalition are also receive mission grants from ArtsKC. So they are a big supporter of the arts here in Kansas City. And I know that I applied for nonprofits and other foundations. I applied to other foundations, and it does look good if you already have ArtsKC funding, because then they know you're a well-recognized contributor within the arts community if you receive their funding, because you're considered part of the core program of the arts offering here in Kansas City. And then, of course, we've had many of artists present at GUILDit who have had inspirational grants, and those grants have sometimes the grant supports funding here in Kansas, supports programs here in Kansas City. I've known artists that use that funding to do programming internationally too. Sky, who's the muralist here, he used that funding to support a mural program down in the Bahamas area, and an area where he has heritage, and worked with low-income children there to do a mural program. So it's amazing. Some of the wonderful grants. I had another artist here, Laura Garcia, who did Dancing Within the Streets. She was a choreographer, and she used her, she's also Native American and Spanish heritage, and she used that heritage to bring dancing, contemporary dancing with those cultures mixed into the streets of Kansas City. So, so a couple of wide range grants that ArtsKC enables.
Yeah, and all of our grant recipients are listed, well, for the last year at least, they're listed online. So you can check that out. And Julian, you should stop by during First Fridays and maybe talk to our development team, and they can tell you more.
Okay.
But yeah, it is kind of an interesting structure, so yeah. It's a good question.
Isn't your annual breakfast a big fundraiser?
You know, this year we switched it up and we did our Art Moves Us event, and we actually partnered with PBS and created a documentary about the local art scene, which you can watch. It's called Art Moves Us. So that was our big fundraiser. I think during COVID, we kind of had to switch gears with our fundraising.
Yeah, and PBS has been another great partner during COVID, especially for the Kansas City Ballet and others too. So there's our nonprofits really work to get the arts to us in any format that we can digest, so that it's still a core of our daily lives.
Definitely. Okay, any other questions for me? Again, you can reach me at grantmaking@artskc.org. There's a lot of great info on the website too. So if you think of anything later, or for the people on Facebook, feel free to reach out, and I'm happy to kind of direct you to which grant would work best for you and tell you more about our eligibility and so on.
Great, well, we'll round out today's presentation, and I want to tell you a little bit more about opportunities we have at GUILDit. We're always looking for presenters. We have artists come and talk about their business goals, needs, and challenges, and where the public is welcome to come and brainstorm. Facilitators and board members, we're always on the lookout for some very talented people who like to grow the arts and work with us. And two, I want to invite the Artist Coalition to talk about what they have going on the rest of this week and this upcoming month. It's a great space that I encourage you to come visit. Always bursting with art, and they offer more than just these galleries and studios too. They can tell you more about it.
Hi there. Hi everyone.
Hey.
My name is Taylor Jackson. I'm gallery assistant here at Kansas City Artist Coalition. So for those who don't know, the mission of Kansas City Artist Coalition is to promote visual arts awareness here in Kansas City. And we also provide programming as well for local artists to get their business up and working. So currently we have Miss Carolina Cuevas in the space that you're sitting right now. Carolina Cuevas, she is a Cuban-American artist, and her work centers around themes of family and togetherness, spirituality, such as this piece behind me here entitled Benediction. And in the back, we have Miss Summer Brooks with her space entitled Wash Day. And that's just to celebrate the beauty of being African-American, as well as some of the struggles of washing African-American hair. Yes. Also in our Midtown KC Now location, we have Miss Lori Idols, I believe. And she has an exhibit entitled Deep Exploration. So if you get a chance, just head on over to 39th and Main and check out Deep Exploration. And next month, we will be having, I believe, Mr. Adam Crowley, as well as Elizabeth Moore. Mr. Adam Crowley, he is an oil painter. He'll be here in this space. And then Elizabeth Moore, she'll be in our SNAP space as well. So those are some things that we have coming up. I do believe that we have an open call on October 1st. So from October 1st to November 15th, we'll have an open call for artists to submit their projects and hopefully be in this space. Thank you.
Hey.
Terrific, thank you. Great. Yeah, it's wonderful to know more about these fabulous artists and art we have here. Okay, in our last slide, we just want to thank you for attending, and we encourage you to tell your friends about GUILDit. You can donate online, and we now welcome you to stay and network for the in-person audience and share those business cards. All right, take care, and thank you for coming this week. It's been great weather.
Can I make one more quick announcement?
Yeah, we have an announcement.
August 11th, the Artist Coalition is having a 47th birthday party. And it's free. It's going to be in the firehouse, which I don't know the address exactly, but it's on the website from 6 to 8 p.m. And it'll be celebrating the 47th birthday for the Artist Coalition, and also saying goodbye to our executive director, who is heading out to Los Angeles. So we've had her for several years, Marissa Stark.
So this is on the 11th, right? At the
August
firehouse?
11th at the firehouse from 6 to 8 p.m.
And then do you
It's
have,
free, but you do need to register at our website, which is Kansas City Artist Coalition.
It would be here or?
No, it's gonna be at the firehouse. That address is on the website.
Okay, awesome.
Do you have a new director yet? Will you be introducing
We
them?
do, can we
I
announce
think we
it?
just did.
I've been announcing it, so.
I think so.
Yeah,
Yeah.
is that okay?
I don't think so.
Not yet?
Okay.
All right, we're gonna wait. We have one, but
Save it.
we're gonna save it. All right, good.
Will it be announced on the 11th?
Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah.
So it'll be announced on the 11th, yes. So the Artists Coalition is a 40-year-old organization.
47.
47-year-old organization. And we're sorry to see Marissa leave, but she has exciting Los Angeles things to entice her, including her husband out there. So yeah, and we'll be excited to hear about the new director who takes over these wonderful programs that the Artists Coalition does. And I'll be still at GUILDit. I've been with GUILDit for 7 years, and I was the founder, and I look forward to taking it on to its new chapter. And I want to thank you both, or thank the audience for your patronage of GUILDit and the Artists Coalition. Thank you.
Thank you so much.